right, we are live here at the Senior Bowl. Beautiful setup in the convention center. If you're listening on audio, let me paint you a picture as somebody that went down to school here I'll Picasso this whole thing. Don't look me in the eyes and give me a canvas. I'll paint you anything. It's like that picture of Birmingham song. But it's foggy outside. It's humid outside. We're getting ready to go watch some football practice. We know here in a couple hours we got some great interviews for you here. David Cohn, my co-host, going to bring him in. He's remote. My brother sitting right here to my right. We're going to get into it in a minute. But before we do, just being back in Mobile, being back in the 251. Mm-hmm. Number one, Blaine, I forgot how humid it is down here in the morning. I walked outside and was instantly sweating.
Sticky.
I was covered with a blanket of sweat, but it just brought back so many memories of getting up and having to go to practice, whether it was playing, whether it was coaching. You do not leave the practice field without being drenched in sweat, I will give you, but it's so great to see the water, to eat the seafood. Actually went across the bay last night. I went to California dreaming in
You were dreaming in Cali?
Yeah, I was dreaming in Cali last night. It was fantastic. But
real Miley Cyrus situation.
Well, and you went to high school down here.
Well, look, the thing about it, you don't make it to the practice field without being drenched in sweat. That's how it usually works.
That's exactly right.
And another thing, I don't know if there's a better combination. I've really thought about this, sat down and thought about it, than Reese's and football. I mean, it's every little boy's dream. I'm surrounded by Reese's and football.
What's more American than that? I mean, right now, if you put Paul Revere in this room and I told him I was sitting down inside a convention center that's brought to you by a company that makes chocolate-covered peanut butter, and we're going to go watch huge men run into each other with a leather football, I think he'd be proud of us.
Every boy's dream.
I think he would have thought, man, me riding on that horse and there screaming and just warning everybody was totally worth it, because now look at what we have become. But let's go ahead and get this bad boy kicked off. We are live from the Senior Bowl.
Yes, sir.
2023. Brock Purdy ends up tearing his UCL. We're going to talk about that. And Nick Saban has yet to pick a coordinator. Should Alabama fans be worried? It's Tuesday. It's Senior Bowl Tuesday. And this is Crane & Company. All right, let's get into it. I want to start David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, former Heisman candidate, and also genius of his time. David, are you good to go on that end?
I am good to go, fellas. Just disappointed I won't be eating bluegill this week.
Well, listen, we'll have an extra thing of tuna dip for you. And Blaine Crane, my brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. I want to start off with talking about the Alabama coordinator situation. I want Alabama fans to just listen to me. And I know some of you guys understand this, and a lot of people in the college football realm understand this. There are a few things that I'm not worried about when it comes to Alabama. Will it be hot in the summer? Will I have to pay taxes? Is Mobile an absolute hub for recruiting? And Nick Saban hiring coordinators is going to work out. I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. I don't think you should worry about it. I don't go eat at a restaurant with Guy Fieri and question the ingredients or where he bought them from. That's just not what you do. Nick Saban has gone to the NFL to get really good coordinators. He's gone to college to get really good coordinators. He could probably hop in a SpaceX Elon Musk ship and landed in Star Cluster 9 and go find a good coordinator. So the Todd Grantham rumors, like you said, Blaine, when we brought it up, surprise, they're blitzing.
Yeah,
even if it is Todd Grantham, I trust Nick Saban when it comes down to hiring coaches and coordinators. How can you not?
At some point, I mean, Nick could just do it himself. Does Alabama even need a defensive coordinator? Like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to come out here. We're going to run two-man the entire game. That's what we're going to do. But the interesting thing, I don't think Grantham would be a problem. Now, Jeremy Pruitt, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, I just don't think you look at the NCAA investigations that's still ongoing with him. You know, you'd have to get it clear with the chancellor. You just have to go through a lot of trouble to get him to DC. So I don't think that move will get pulled. I think that's going to be a long shot. But what about some names we kind of haven't talked to? What about Jim Leonhard?
What did I say right when this job opened up? When we found out that Golding was going to Ole Miss, Jim Leonhard would be my first call. But if I had to compare Jeremy Pruitt and Todd Grantham, I'm taking Jeremy Pruitt.
Even with the back.
Well, yes. Is the juice worth the squeeze, though? But if anybody can get it done, Nick Saban can get it done. It's like Darth Vader walking into the evil emperor's office. If anybody can get anything done, it's him that can get it done. But again, I'm not going to question whether it's offensive coordinator, whether it's defense coordinator, because here's what separates Nick Saban in my mind. We talk about his schematical genius, which what he's done, rip Liz match coverage, what they do on third down and long, the way they're able to manipulate offenses by being statues before the ball snapped and disguising coverages is fantastic. His ability to be a literal structural engineer when it comes to building a roster and roster management, which is the most important thing outside of recruiting in college football. He's one of the best ever at it. But what makes Nick Saban so dangerous and what has prolonged Nick Saban's success over time is his ability to get to the mountaintop, but also be malleable. Mm-hmm. You say, Jake, what do you mean by malleable other than being able to change with the times and evolve? I always say if you're not evolving, you're dissolving. But sure. Let's look at the timeline here. Nick Saban, when he got to Alabama, won games doing what? Running the ball, play action, playing good defense, good special teams, and not beating yourself, taking better players than you and being more disciplined on the field than you. Now the game started to change. He came out. You remember talking about Gus Malzahn and the hurry up, no huddle and how that's bad for college football. What does he do? He complains about it for a little bit, and then he goes and hires Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And you start seeing them go up tempo and be alternative on offense. It's one thing to make it to the mountaintop. But the guys that succeed over time are the ones that can make it to the mountaintop and realize, hey, I may have to switch up my game a little bit.
Yeah.
I may have to change the way that I think, not my identity, not who I want to be. I always want to be physical, right? I always want to be smart. I always want to be prepared. I always want to be disciplined and accountable. But sometimes I may have to mix up the recipe from a schematical standpoint or mindset standpoint on either side of the ball to be able to adjust. So I think that's what makes Nick Saban, David, so dangerous is his malleability when he gets to the top. He doesn't just stand there and be stubborn.
Sure, and we've seen it for a long time now, and I agree with you that I'm not going to panic, and I don't think Alabama fans should panic because they don't have a coordinator on each side of the ball right now. I will say this situation is a little bit different because we sit here right now on the last day of January, not the last day of December like we usually are when he's trying to replace coordinators. So, you know, there does need to be a little bit of a sense of urgency on the defensive side of the ball. Look, if Nick Saban wants Jeremy Pruitt, he's going to get Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, I think that's the long and short of it. I really thought when Kellen Moore, we're going to talk about Kellen Moore getting hired by the Chargers. I thought when he came open that name, you know, that there would at least be a phone call made, and maybe there was. But Jim Leonard would be a home run hire. So I wonder what's going on with that situation. If there have been phone calls, I'm not sure, but that would be a fantastic ad for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, well, if I'm Jim and I was going to be the next head coach at Wisconsin, if I was going to take a coordinator job in college, Alabama would be one of the few spots where I think you'd take it. On that point about the timeline, David, I do think it's interesting now because recruiting is basically over for Alabama in this cycle. It never stops, truly. You're already working on the 2 years, the class 2 years down the road, and obviously next year's class. But I think it's one of those things where it's the old bull and the young bull at the top of the hill, right? The young bull says, let's run down there and hang out with them. The old bull says, how about we walk down there and hang out with all of them? I would rather, it's like buying a car, right? I would rather take a little bit more time and make a good investment on a big investment than make a rash decision and it may not work out. But then again, I go back to my baseline point to start this off. I will never question Nick Saban when it comes to hiring coordinators. I'm not going to do it. It's like I use the Guy Fieri example. I use the Emerald example. I'm not going to go to Mark Cuban and start talking to him and telling him who he should hire on his business apparatus.
You're not?
Yeah, I'm not saying it because he's to make a rash decision. I'm saying from a supply and demand situation.
Yeah.
A month ago, you have a lot more options than you do right now. I mean, think about the reason Kellen Moore is the only name we were talking about here the last 24 hours is because he came available from the professional side of the ball. Everyone else has already landed. You look at Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley. That was a name we all thought, hey, that'd be a great replacement for Bill O'Brien at Alabama. Well, that's happened. That happened weeks ago. So I'm just talking about from a supply and demand situation. Usually Nick Saban can get the pick of the litter, and maybe he can even still get that with people having already signed contracts. We were talking about a couple guys the other day who've already decided to be head coaches at smaller schools. Maybe he can even flip them to be head coaches. But yeah, we sit here, I mean, tomorrow's February 1st. Just from a supply and demand situation, there are only so many names out there you can go call to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama, especially, look, this year's not the same as last year. You're not returning a Heisman Trophy quarterback. It's not not just as simple as plug in, Lane Kiffin or Bill O'Brien or Steve Sarkisian. You're going to have some work to do at the quarterback position this next season at Alabama.
Yeah, and we've seen coaches of smaller schools, not even coaches that just took jobs, but coaches that have been there. Sean Lewis from Kent State was the head coach. He packed up shop and went to Boulder in Colorado to be the OC for Prime, which is a high IQ play. It's a very high IQ play.
Well, it's a smart play. And at the end of the day, Saban's going to get who Saban wants. That's just who Nick Saban is. But I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to get, if you go be a coordinator at Alabama, whether that's on offense or defense, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a head coaching job next year. If you're Jim Leonard, right, and you got screwed in the Wisconsin job, which I think you did.
I agree.
Yeah, for how long you've been there and how you've performed, you go be the DC at Bama. One, you're going to be really good. All right, this guy, I don't care who the coach is. He's going to be really good regardless, but you're guaranteeing yourself a pretty big head coaching job next year, so I can see that. Offensive coordinator, you're kind of right, Dave. The well's not super deep, but they're going to find a guy to come in to not do too much. At the end of the day, Nick controls everything that moves in Tuscaloosa. Hell, he basically controls everything that moves in the SEC, other than Georgia right now with the wiggle room they have with the national championships. But at the end of the day, it's still the Don, Nick Saban. He's going to get exactly who he wants.
Yeah, well, on OC, they need somebody to quote Vince Vaughn that makes them feel dangerous but also safe. Speaking about dangerous but also safe, well, somewhat safe, let's get to the Booster Club.
Okay, let's go, guys. We got Cody Nason, 95, the graphic king, also the king of getting graphic. Yes. And he wants to know, this is a good question. I know we talked about Brock Purdy tearing his UCL. When's the last time a QB had Tommy John surgery?
I haven't. I think somebody in college had it this past year. I just remember it because it was such an anomaly. And I want to say this about Brock Purdy. Yesterday, we had a conversation on the way when I was talking about Brock Purdy, I was watching him throw the ball on the sidelines. I was watching him be able to move it around. And Cone brought up the point, and I thought it was fantastic, about the way Patrick Mahomes reacted to not being able to go back out there and the way that Brock Purdy reacted. My thing about Brock Purdy was not that he didn't have an injury, but if you're able, I don't care if it's adrenaline or whatever, if you're able to throw the ball on the sidelines, to come in the game and throw a screen pass, to turn around and hand the ball off, I feel like you at least should have tried to push the ball intermediate to maybe down the field at least a couple times. And you know what? If you can't throw, then don't put my ass back out there.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That was my biggest problem with it. Do I think Brock Purdy is some pretty boy Junior Floyd type guy? No, I don't. But I expected a guy that was Mr. Irrelevant, that nobody thought had a chance to do anything, that had taken the NFL and the NFC by storm, would have had a little more dog in him at the end to either say, I'm so hurt, I can't do anything, don't put me out there, I'm bad for the team, or I'm going to go gut this thing out, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. That's where I was surprised. Blaine, I'll let you speak on that first.
Well, this was my thing, and I said on this show yesterday, it was surprising to see Brock throw on the sidelines and not come back in the game, even if you can throw 10 yards. Hell, 10 yards is a lot better than just sitting back there and running the ball every play in the second half. But if it was broken or torn fully, then I can understand you not going back out there, because that's a different battle. Now you're putting yourself hurt maybe longer your career, because he's not going to be back. I mean, he's not going to be back till training camp next year. So now it's interesting to see what's going to go on in the offseason, the 49ers. Only thing I'm hearing now is more Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that, Tom Brady this. So I wouldn't be surprised, right? If Brock turns into the guy who sits behind the GOAT and starts to learn, even if it's for a year. And if you're Tom, what do you want to come into? What situation you want to come into? You're about to come into the best roster if they retain everybody, which I think they will, the most important guys in the NFL. And Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, your DBs are young, only going to get better. Armstead, just the DBO Samuel, Brandon, now you can go through it. So now I think Brock's going to be the backup to the GOAT, the one and only.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Tom Brady would add even more chaos to an already, interesting quarterback room there, because Tom Brady did not have a great season this year. We can talk about the offensive line in Tampa Bay and all the injuries and that kind of stuff. Tom Brady did not play great football this season. Now, he did lead the league in yardage and TDs season before last, so maybe he can replicate that with all the weapons they have in San Francisco, but it certainly would make it very interesting to see what's going on out there with the carousel they have with the 49ers. But on the Brock Purdy situation, I mean, I'm going to double down even harder now. Why is he back in the football game? That's what I don't understand. And to me, it's, people were talking about, well, that's a Kyle Shanahan thing. You can't put this stuff on the coaches. The coaches are trying to coach the game. This is why they spend 7 to 8 figures a year on the training staff. Like that's the trainer's call, is to be able to say, this guy is no longer a net good for our football team today on this Sunday. He cannot play and be effective if we put him back in the game. Then what you do is you take his shoulder pads, you shut him down, and you don't let him play any more football that day because he's not going to make any plays for you. He's going to make his own situation worse. That's what you have to do. And then when you look over on the sidelines and he doesn't have his shoulder pads, you understand he's not going back in the football game. If Brock Purdy tears his UCL the 6th play of the game and never goes back in and he's not throwing passes on the sidelines, nobody here would question a single thing. I've had to hold teammates' hands while they're lying flat on their back with torn ACLs. You don't call those guys soft because they can't play football anymore. Sometimes that's a career-ending injury for some of these guys. So that's not the situation. It's when you're over there throwing on the sidelines, you go back in the game. That's what makes it weird to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's stick in the Booster Club.
Let's go to Travis Elrod. What up, Travis? Hashtag Ask Crane and Company. What is your take on drafting needs versus drafting whoever's the best player?
Well, look, I think I think there's circumstances that dictate outcomes and results when it comes into the draft. Again, you always want to fill needs, right? We talk about roster management and being able to make sure you have enough depth at every position to be able to compete throughout a season. But when you're looking at a team, how many needs do you have at the forefront? Like, are there glaring problems on the offensive line? Do you not have a receiver that can play? Is there a must, which means I must take a player at this position to give our organization and our roster a chance to compete? Do I have to take multiple players at a certain position to be able to do that? A lot of it depends where you're at. So if you're a high-level team that has one spot that you're missing, let's say at linebacker, and you feel like you want to attack that in the draft, you don't like what you see in free agency, well, you can make a move to go up and get the best guy at that spot. You're really filling your needs and getting the best player available. Or is there maybe a running back or not a running back, a wide receiver that is a guy that is generational, that you may have a good wide receiver core, but could make your wide receiver core that take it to the next step, and you try and go get a linebacker that's good enough to keep you in games through free agency, or maybe you luck up in the draft late. So I think a lot of it depends on where you're at, and a lot of it depends on if there's that can't miss prospect. Who is that can't miss prospect, and where can you get them? So it's a tough question to answer with a general blanket statement because so many teams are in so many different positions. There's a whole hell of a lot of a difference between what the Bears need and the 49ers need. So I'd have to go team specific when it comes to filling that need, because sometimes if the bottom of the barrel is scraped that far and you have to go get guys at a position, you have to go get them.
Well, I think a lot of go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead, Blaine.
I was going to say, well, a lot of it has to do with the talent at the position, right? If I need a linebacker and it's mediocre talent coming through, and I know I could probably get one of the best in that second or third round, and then those first 2 rounds, I'm going to draft the best player, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draft the best available that's on that board. So I think I get what you're saying, and it does make sense. But once you get to the latter kind of the rounds of the draft, then you can go get the guy you want specific to your need if the level of the position is not that talented coming into the draft.
And again,
another thing is, what is the position? Like, what position are you talking about? Because not everyone's the same, right? Like, if you're already short up on the defensive line and you need a wide receiver, but the best player on the board is a defensive lineman, you can go ahead and take a D-line because you have to play 4 of those guys and rotate them in and out, right? You need 4 guys on the field at all times for the defensive line minimum. Whereas with the Bears situation right now, drafting at quarterback, if you already have Justin Fields and you have the number 1 overall pick and the best player happens to be a quarterback, it's tough to take him because only one quarterback can play at a time.
That's very true. It's a lot position oriented. It's a great question.
Let's go to Kenny Stalter. What's up, Kenny? I like this. Hashtag Ask Jake. Will Joe Brady fall in the mix for the Alabama Crimson Tide? He's going to come back to college?
Well, if you're Joe Brady, and again, there's a lot of individual and personal decisions that go along with it. But if you're Joe Brady, and I made my hay at LSU, got my name, up in lights, whatever you want to call it, then you made that next step to the NFL. Do you want to get in that NFL recycling bin that you never get out of? I mean, hell, you can go from fired coach to coordinator to head coach, or fired coach to head coach. All you got to do is get in the recycle bin. Does Joe Brady want to come back down to college where you have to worry about recruiting? Does Joe Brady want to come back down to college where you have to worry about academics, where I got to worry about talking to your mother and talking to your father? I don't know if he wants to do. There's some guys that don't want to do that. There's some guys that love recruiting. There's some guys that love that aspect of it. There's some guys that love going to take a kid from high school and watching him grow and watching him get his college degree and things like that. And then there's other guys that just want to deal with ball. They want to sit in that room and go over schematically what to do with the personnel they have on their roster. So it's a preference thing. I think Joe stays in the NFL. I feel like he's an NFL guy, and he wants to stay in that kind of recycling bin as long as possible.
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. He wants to know, #Ask Crane and Company, what one-on-one practice position-wise do you enjoy watching the most?
Defensive ends and offensive tackles. I want to see it up front. I want to see the pass rush. Like, look, one-on-one receivers wearing your panties and stuff like that. That's great. I want to see
whoa.
I want to see the guys.
No, don't come out here with this disrespect. Look, it's just as physical out there, okay?
No, it's not.
It's just as physical. You want to see true talent? You want to see true talent? Then watch the receivers and DBs go at it.
All right, Blaine, let's get back to the Booster Club.
Well, I mean, you got to think, too. I mean, he's one of their best players and did only play 2 games.
Yeah.
And they won 10 games.
Imagine if they'd had him.
Let's go to Caitlin. She wants to know, what was your worst injury in football growing up?
Well,
what was your worst?
Well,
is it the knee?
I would say probably my knee. If we're talking about like head injuries or concussions or something like that, that's a totally different level. I had at least 2 of them. To me, the brain injury is the most, but ACL in the knee would probably be the one that I say the most. That was the most devastating. Look, I broke the one that you want to know what's something crazy though. The one that hurt the most really was when I broke my foot in high school. Rounding second base, there was a hole in front of second base, and I stepped in there and turned my foot over, and it sounded like a shotgun went off. And it was a T fracture, which sounds it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like a break that looks like a T in your foot. That was probably the worst one. That was the most painful.
Okay, let's go to Mike RFF Live. So he wants to know, is Georgia going to three-peat? If not, who is looking like your favorite to win it all next year?
Coney, you rode with Georgia. You rode with the fear last year, saying they're the national championship until they're not. I don't think they're going to make it a three-peat. What do you think?
No, I mean, I don't think so, but I didn't think they would repeat, to be honest with you. No, I just keep them number 1 in the poll at the start of the season because that, I think that is what the national champion deserves from the previous season. But it's just interesting right now with them not returning a quarterback. Alabama doesn't return a quarterback. OSU doesn't return a quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, is somebody? Are we?
But who does, David?
Yeah.
Who does, David?
I'm not.
Who does? No. Say it. Say it.
There are a lot
right now. Michigan looks like the front runner to win the national championship.
Stop jinxing that.
I'm not jinxing it, David. It's just the truth. Okay, do you think it was jinxed for Alabama for the last 3,000 years when they said they're going to win the national championship?
Here's the way I look at it. Michigan returns their quarterback. LSU returns their quarterback. Florida State returns their quarterback. And the crazy part is 2 of those teams play each other in opening week. So we know how important returning the quarterback is. But again, we do know how well that Georgia recruits. We know how well that the juggernauts recruit, and we know how big the transfer portal is when we're talking about bringing in a quarterback. But all right, one more for the Booster Club Lane, and I want to go to a little preview of a couple players here.
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. He wants to know, what does Hendon Hooker get out of this week?
With Hendon, obviously he's not going to be able to play. He had the knee injury. But I think Hendon kind of has that effect of when he gets around you, you kind of see the air and who he is. I think from a off the field standpoint, not from sitting down and doing interviews and doing all that stuff, but from an off the field standpoint of just seeing him, the way he handles himself, the professionalism, the business mindset. I tell you who he reminds me a lot of off the field is Jalen Hurts a little bit. When you watch the way that he operates, he's about business. He's going to handle what he needs to handle. He's a mature guy, and he understands the battle that's in front of him. So you can get a lot out of it. At worst, relationships, right? At worst, you build some good connections. You build some good relationships that can help you on the field and off the field. So Hendon can still get a lot out of it, in my opinion. But another quarterback, guys. I want to hop into this. We're going to get back to the Booster Club. Make sure you subscribe, share the show, do all that stuff. Follow us on social media. But another quarterback and 2 guys that are really I'm watching at this Senior Bowl. Number 1 is Jake Haener, the quarterback from Fresno State. I know they didn't have the best year. I know he was beat up somewhat. He's about 6 foot, 6'1", 200 pounds, a little bit undersized, but this kid has high-level witch ability. All right, he's able to maneuver and manipulate in the pocket. He can change arm angles. When you think about a little bit of Brock Purdy-ish, but I think he's more athletic with his ability to run. He's a guy I think his stock could go way up. We've seen guys' stocks go way up at the Senior Bowl. That's one guy I'm keeping my eye on. And then another one is Rashee Rice from SMU. I watched this kid play a lot during the season at wide receiver. He's long. He's a long strider. He's not the quickest guy. He's not going to go, beat Jamaica in the 100 meters, but that's not what you're asking him to do. He can high point the ball, and he is such a physical runner after the catch. I love guys that catch the ball away from their body, that have strong hands, and can break tackles after the catch. That's Rashee Rice. I think this kid has a chance to come in and really help somebody early. You know, as a young receiver, I look at a team like the Titans with Treylon Burks and trying to add more to that arsenal. So those are two guys I'm keeping my eyes on. Coney, who are you looking at?
I got a couple names here, but I'll just start with Clayton Tune, quarterback out of Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw for almost 12,000 yards in college, 104 touchdowns. Sort of a disappointing year from a win-loss perspective out of Houston. They were preseason top 25, but still threw for over 4,000 yards. I think he had 40 touchdowns as well. Clayton Tune is the type of kid who, you know, the Senior Bowl is built for him, right? Come down to Mobile, win those rooms like you're talking about, show a lot of charisma, personality, be very professional, and then blow people away at practice and possibly even in the Senior Bowl itself. So I want to see if Clayton Tune has a big week this week. Blaine, I have a couple more names, but why don't you go ahead and take a few first?
Yeah, the first guy I'm looking at is Chase Brown.
Yeah,
from Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, we sit down here and talk about backs, and what's the best type of backs? It's 3-down backs. If you're a 3-down back in the NFL, you're going to get paid a lot of money. And this kid has been steady Betty for Illinois for a while now. Clearly the best player on the field on both sides of the ball. But I'm looking at him. He's going to be a nice pickup. He'll probably be a little bit later in the draft. But watch him the next couple of years kind of be someone who sneaks up to the top of the NFL. And then another kid I'm watching is Charlie Strong out of Purdue. Charlie Jones out of Purdue, excuse me. This guy, I'm telling you, when it comes to witchery, got some Haru in him, whatever you need to do, whether it's man beater, whether it's zone beater, his IQ when it comes to football is extremely high. And you saw that if you watch Purdue play this year. He's going to be a good he's going to be a good fit, whether that's a young quarterback or not. Even if he's a rookie in the league, I think his IQ is so good that he can help a young quarterback early. So those are the two guys I'm watching to come out here and really outperform what people think the expectations are.
And we always talk about security blanket at tight end, right? Which that's the truth. Most time in the league, the security blanket is the tight end. But you look at guys like Cole Beasley, right? You look at even guys that I'm not saying he's going to be Julian Edelman, but Julian Edelman, guys that are able to, whether it's third down and short, whether it's third down and medium, whether it's third down and long, they can get in those zones. They have that good chemistry built up. They make the routine plays routine. We talk about this in baseball all the time. How do you win games? All right, you play 9 innings, you give them 27 outs. You don't give them 28 outs. You don't give them 29 outs. That's what you have to do at wide receiver. You have to be able to make the plays, the routine plays routine. When the defense gives you something, take it. And I think Charlie's going to end up having a lot of success in the NFL because you go back and look, there are a lot of times where it was Charlie Jones, and that was about it for Purdue, but he was absolutely wearing people out. I watched him do it against Michigan. I watched him do it against legitimate secondaries, high-level secondaries in college football.
Well, everything nowadays is an option route, regardless of where you are or where you're lined up on the field. Everything is built in to an option route. So you want a guy who can think on his toes, right? He's not going to be – he's not slow, but he's not out here running a 4.3 flat. He's not doing that, but he's also not running a 4.6. He'll be in where you need to be when it comes to speed at receiver. But a guy like him, I'm telling you, even if it's next year, even if you're the Titans, I don't think you already have that big body in Treylon Burks, right? That's what you need. But you need a guy who can win between the hashes, between the numbers, and that's what Charlie Jones can do.
Yeah. You're talking about Chase Brown. You know, his twin brother Sidney Brown's down there as well. DB, 4.45 guy out of Illinois. You know, also on the running back front, Kenny McIntosh, you know, from Georgia, kind of got hidden behind really what turned into a juggernaut offense at the University of Georgia with Stetson Bennett and Brock Bowers and those guys. But Kenny McIntosh is the type of running back who could shine at the Senior Bowl and I think improve his draft stock. And then some other names I was thinking about, Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss. Jonathan Mingo is going to be a great pro, 6'2", 225, 4.4 guy. You know, I'd be interested to see like how he does at practice, like how much he's involved in the game, that kind of stuff, because you know he's going to be a certified pro. Jaden Reed from Mississippi State, another wide receiver who I think, you know, because he's also a specialist, I'd like to see what he can do. He transferred from Western Michigan to Michigan State, which was interesting. And then on the with the big guys, Jake, like you were talking about, Osiris Torrance is that offensive guard from Florida. He's 6'5", 347. He transferred to Florida when Billy Napier came from Louisiana. No sacks allowed last season. Again, the type of guy who could maybe bump into that first round category if he has a big week in Mobile.
Yeah, if you ever need anybody protected, I don't care if it's the Queen of England or your quarterback, Osiris Torrance is the guy to do it. I mean, you talk about a guy that elevated himself. Not that he wasn't going to get drafted, But going from Lafayette and following Billy to Florida and having the years that he had at Florida at that guard spot, to me, I think he is the best offensive line prospect on the board in general. Ooh. I think he's that talented. Now, I know how important tackles are, and I get that. I'm not saying the position is the most important, but O'Cyrus Torrence may be the most talented offensive lineman from a run-pass standpoint and the most bang for your buck in this draft on the offensive line. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I know Ohio State has like 3 guys from Wardor that are down here changing the light bulbs inside of football stadiums, but I just love the way O'Cyrus Torrence is able to move, how he's able to pull. He's not a waist bender. He's flexible in his ankles, all the little things that you have to be successful in the offensive line.
Yeah, I think Ohio State just goes to mountaintops and just looks for guys.
For sure.
Bring
somewhere in Siberia.
Them in Purdue.
Somewhere in Siberia, they go find these guys.
Yeah, let's go to Lincoln Meltz with a donation. Appreciate it, Lincoln. $5 donation. She says, y'all dominate this pod daily and have served in sports media, but what's y'all's why? What wakes you up in the morning?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, my thing is, first off, I was always, raised that if it's the breadwinner, however you want to call it, I get up and do it because the people that I have that were at my house this morning and I'm not there that woke up. That's why I do it. I do it for Reed. I do it for Arnells because I want my family to have as much success as possible, and I'll do whatever the hell it takes for me to do that. If I got to wake up at 2 a.m. and walk 8 miles uphill in a snowstorm while I'm getting, pelted at with rocks, I'll do it. My thing was I was not going to die unsuccessful, or at least not, like I say, get rich or die trying. Well, I'll either get rich or die trying. But to me, rich isn't just about money because, I was in a household growing up where, there were struggles at times and things like that. I want to leave a better paw print than what was left for me for my family and changing the chapter. Obviously, look, my father committed suicide. It just is what it is. So I want to change the last name from people thinking about that to people thinking about this. So that's my one.
Wait, you didn't have to walk 8 miles in the snow to school every morning? I did. Every morning. Uphill in the wind, in the rain. Yeah, but I like that. I'm the same boat. Let's go to Emmanuel C with the $5 donation. Appreciate it, E-Man. So if you have to bet on one, which one? Caleb Williams being the number 1 overall pick next year, or Drake May winning the Heisman? That's tough. If I had to bet on one, I would have to bet Caleb Williams being the number 1 overall pick, just because, winning the Heisman, how good is North Carolina going to be next year? Well, I don't know if they can be any worse on defense. That defense looked like, had more holes than somebody eating Swiss cheese at Camp Green Lake. At some point, you've got to fix that. And I think Chizik will. You lose Josh Downs, who was obviously a huge piece of that wide receiver core that we're going to see in the league. I would gun to my head, I'm taking Caleb Williams as the number 1 pick because I think some teams already have him as the number 1 pick for next year. But if you look at the quarterback class coming for next year, we talk about the young quarterbacks in the league now. Patrick Mahomes, he feels like an old guy, and he's like 13. So when you look around the league, it's a very healthy situation at quarterback. But no, I think there's a lot better chance of Caleb Williams being the number 1 pick in the NFL draft than Drake May winning the Heisman.
I agree with that.
Let's go to Texas Ed. He says, what does Max Duggan need to do to prove he can be a clipboard holder in the NFL? Max can be more than that. Max can be a lot more than that, I think.
Ever since with the way that offenses have evolved in the NFL, we've seen short guys have success. We've seen tall, goofy guys have success. We've seen tall, athletic guys have success and short, goofy guys have success. I watched Chase Daniel, basically John Dillinger of the NFL. So if I'm Max, I'm not worried about my pathway or am I going to have a shot? He's going to get a shot. It's going to an offense that fits his strengths. And how well will he be able to create his own throwing lanes in the pocket in the NFL? And when you look at the size of the offensive lineman at TCU, I don't see him struggling with that because he's done it before. So what will Max be a perennial NFL starter, Pro Bowler, unbelievable quarterback? Who the hell knows? Nobody thought Brock Purdy was going to come in here and do what he did. Now, that's the anomaly of the situation. But I think Max has a chance to do some things. A lot of it is going to come down to his footwork. That's something that he's talked about he's needed to improve on. We've talked about he needs to improve on. If he fixes that, I think he has enough talent. And he's in that Sam Ehlinger range a little bit to me with the way he plays as well. So
he kind of reminds me of Sam Howell a little bit.
Yeah.
North Carolina, I would say throwing-wise, I think he's a better runner than Sam, and you saw the Sam get some play today with the Redskins, who I refuse to call the Commanders because that's their real name.
Yeah, I won't call them that either.
All right, let's go to Charles Moore. I like this question. I'm going to throw this one to you, Dave. He says, if you're the Bears GM, do you trade down the number 1 pick to get more picks this year and fill the holes you traded away.
I don't think it'd be a bad strategy. I mean, Justin Fields showed you that he's going to be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Now the GM can go say, "Oh, he needs to be a better passer, this or that." But look, I think you're taking a bigger risk by going and getting another quarterback rather than already having Justin Fields, who's shown you what the ceiling could be if you'll put some pieces around him. So that could be a good strategy. But also, guys, I'm looking at someone like Will Anderson Jr. I don't ever think it'd be a bad idea to take a guy like that who you know is going to be generational, who has an opportunity to be like a Hall of Fame type talent. Go ahead and take him number one and let those other teams grab quarterbacks behind you. Or unless you think you can still get a generational guy at pick 4, 5, 6, something like that, trade back with one of those franchises who also needs a quarterback.
A running back that I had the pleasure of watching this year at Tulane with what Willie Fritz and everybody did, Tyjae Spears, a guy that runs really, really hard, has great instinct. I want to ask him too about what they were able to do with Tulane and Pratt at quarterback. And I mean, beating USC to end the season. You can say what you want about USC, defensively, but these guys ran through them like a sieve. But Tyjae Spears, what's up, man? Come on in, man. The Trust Tree. Welcome to it. Good to see you.
What's up, bro?
Unlike most defenses, we actually caught you. That's crazy. Tyjae, I want to start. We're obviously going to get to you as a running back and being here at the Senior Bowl. But, I watched you guys. I coached against Willie Fritz when I was in South Alabama when he was at Georgia Southern. It's a very hard offense to stop. But when I watched you guys, the edge y'all played with, and we had Luke Musgrave from Oregon State on earlier, and, they kind of flipped that house, HGTV style, winning 10 games this year. What do you think was the main ingredient for you guys at Tulane, being able to take that next step? I mean, you guys were in the national spotlight.
Main ingredient was when we saw the rankings like preseason. They had us like 9. They had us like 9 or 7. I didn't think we was gonna do that. So we played with that chip on our shoulder, but we also knew we had to turn around from the previous year. So we played with many different chips on our shoulders, and we band together as a team. And like we made a commitment to each other. So a brotherly commitment that we wasn't gonna give up, and we're gonna finish it off the right way.
Yeah, and when I watched you guys, you had some ups and downs throughout the year, a lot more ups than you had downs. But was it that Kansas State game on the road where y'all went and won that game? Not that you started believing in yourself, but you kind of look around and you're like, look, this is for real.
Many people say that game, and I believe it's that game. But also the next 2 weeks was very important for us. We needed that loss to Southern Miss to humble us, but we needed to go on the road and win against Houston. I feel like that's probably was the game right there where we was like, okay, we got a shot at something.
For sure.
We got a shot at something big. Like ever since then, we just took off and made the most out of all our opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. I want to talk about it. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show, but we talk about the NFL. Right now, the best running back you can kind of be is a 3-down running back. And you see that with yourself. What's one thing you kind of want to prove down here to scouts and GMs so if they leave, they know exactly that what it is about you that you got better at this week?
That I'm going to work hard, do everything, but also proving that I'm a 3-down back, because some of them still don't believe I'm a 3-down back. They think I'm too small to get in there and block, or, might question my hands out the backfield, and some of them may question my running ability, but I just want to show them that I can do it all. I can do that, plus I can do special teams too. So just showing them how valuable I am as a player all around.
Yeah, you can tell you're a hard worker by the way you run, man. You averaged 7 yards a carry this year. Yeah, that is ridiculous, brother. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I just want to say, if you really look at your game, all right, and how much you progressed, and throughout the year, y'all been through so much, what's kind of one thing you look back on this year that you'll take with you for the rest of your career in the NFL?
It's just like I kind of started off rough the first half of the season. Yeah. And I transitioned really well into the second half of the season. So my thing is, it's not about how you start off, it's about how you finish.
That's so true.
It's not about how you start off, about how you finish. Every day is a different day to grind and a different day to get better. So if I'm having a rough day Monday, that don't mean I'm gonna have a rough week. So
I love that.
If I start a week off kind of bad, I'm gonna finish some type of way. So what I really learned from this season, what I can take with me for the rest of my life, whatever it take, man. Whatever it take to win, whatever it take, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. So
for sure,
I had a whatever it take mindset.
Hell yeah.
Cone, what you got?
Hey man, what's your mindset coming into the Senior Bowl this week? What are you hoping to accomplish?
What do you want to accomplish this week coming into the Senior Bowl? The main thing. I know Blaine talked about something you want to prove or improve on, but is there an overarching theme for you that you want to accomplish this week? Because it's the biggest showcase there is when it comes down to football.
I really want to be a great blocker this week.
Okay.
That's what I want. I want to accomplish all that. I also want to show that I'm one of the best running backs here, if not the best. I want to show that I'm the best running back, but just show I can do it all. Like from inside the offense to special teams. I just really want to show that I can do it all, show them that I'm valuable, and also just of course, one of the goals is, and I feel like I can do it, just win MVP of the whole thing. I feel like I can do it. I don't really talk too much, so I probably won't say that to nobody else. I just told that to y'all.
Well, we appreciate it. What's your why, man? Why? What's your why? You know that question. You've been asked that question before.
I'm from the hood, man. I got to make the most of my opportunity because I don't want to go back. I don't want to be like people that I saw growing up. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to make my own path in life. I want to do my own thing. So I ain't grew up in the roughest place, but I ain't grew up in a great place.
Yeah.
So I saw some things I wasn't supposed to saw. I just want to make the most out of what I got going on right now. So that's my why. My dad, my family, my mom. I just want to take care of them so they don't got to work no more. They go hard. They go to work every day, busting their butt every day. So I got an opportunity to change it. So I want to help them out. They help me out a lot. They help me get here.
Sure, that's real, man. Tajay, I really appreciate it, brother. No, you're going to do it. I know you want to do it in football, but if for some reason that doesn't work out, brother, you're already on the way, man. We really appreciate it. Absolutely. Go get after it this week, man. We're going to be rooting for you for sure.
Thank y'all.
All right, Tajay Spears from Tulane. Remember that name.
Absolute dog.
Remember that name.
Absolute dog.
I remember watching that guy run through USC like the plague. All right, let's get back to the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Lincoln Meltz with a $5 donation. Lincoln coming in hot today. I appreciate it, brother. Says, Taji, y'all's USC win had me questioning on my betting career. He says, elite career, by the way, but dude, what are your splits? I know you just walked off. Those biceps are popping out of the sweatshirt. Whatever you think it is, multiply it by 2.
Yeah.
He's probably picking up everything. Hell, he might pick up the weight room when he walks in and just set it down so everybody can
Look, the whole goal is just walk in there and pick stuff up as many times as you can, right? That's the whole goal. It's like, what does that in the carpool line have in common? It's basically the same thing. What else we got?
Let's go to Travis Elrod. He wants to know what is the worst color scheme in football?
The worst color scheme?
Yeah.
Man,
this is tough.
Bethune-Cookman's is bad. Bethune-Cookman's is bad. There's so many good. I don't really think about the worst ones. I would think it'd be some sort of, you would think red and yellow, but then you look at USC's and you're like, damn, that's actually pretty fly. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that. That's a great question. I never thought about the worst ones.
I mean, we can think of the best one. I would put Oregon State.
Oregon State's up there.
Luke. I mean, I'd put
North Carolina.
I'd put North Carolina up there.
Ole Miss, kind of the same vein.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Yeah. You can't say North Carolina and not say Ole Miss. It's the same.
The Ole Miss
powder blue, maybe blue. Yeah.
Well, Ole Miss is a little darker, aren't they?
Well, I mean, in some areas.
But the worst, I don't know, Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State.
Arizona State is hideous.
So that's a good call.
Okay, let's go. He says, Matty Eyes wants to know, who do you think Taji is going to be running like? Who would we comp him to?
Well, when I watch him play, size-wise, he reminds me a little bit of kind of Miles Sanders. That in the way that he runs. Miles is kind of a small guy that is very, very physical. And I don't want to make the Austin Eckler comparison because Austin, has proven so much and he's an elite running back in the league. But when you look at the way they're built and the way they kind of run, what makes Tajay special, what makes some of these compact backs special is that they are like pinballs. You can bounce them around, but they don't fall down. It's like a dreidel. You just spin it and it doesn't fall until after a while. You don't know how it doesn't fall. I think his balance and his ability to catch the ball, the balance, vision, and instinct. Anytime you can mix those three together, I don't care if it's in a small body, a medium body, or a big body, you're going to have a good player. I think being smaller has done nothing but we talk about increasing your other senses, right? Helen Keller, you can't see, you can't hear, but you can feel good and all that other stuff. When you're not the biggest back or anything like that, you make up for it in other ways. You become savvier, you become smarter. And I think that's what you're seeing, kind of the combination of that with Tajay Spears.
All right, let's go to Little Tony, 22 in the Daily Wire chat. What's up, Little Tony?
Little Tony.
He wants to know, how much does the Senior Bowl matter, and how do coaches or scouts compare to regular games, and are there specific things you look for?
Well, the Senior Bowl matters for a couple reasons, but we need to understand what matters the most in the Senior Bowl. It's not the game. As shocking as that may be to some of y'all, the game really doesn't matter. By the time the game starts, most of the scouts are already gone. There's a little secret ingredient or recipe. It's the practices that matter the most because you're getting the most out of the practice. You're seeing the one-on-one drills. There's certain things in the game that you can't do in the Senior Bowl, like in an All-Star game, the Under Armour game, and stuff like that. But it's the stuff off the field as well. Yeah, these guys kind of get to see you operate, your working habits, and it's not putting on a front. It's being yourself and forming those relationships. Going to the Senior Bowl can make you or it can break you. I mean, not only just from you got injured and it hurt your draft stats, maybe you come out and you don't perform as well as somebody else or other guys at your position are coming out and having a better year than what you had. So the Senior Bowl can be hugely important, huge when it comes down to increasing your draft stock or decreasing it if you don't come and have a good week. That's the risk you take. But again, these guys didn't get to where they were by not performing when all the cameras and the lights are on them. So the Senior Bowl
and even skipping out on the Senior Bowl dictates, some people to a lot of scouts. I mean, via Will Levis. What's your thought on that, Con? I want to get your thoughts on that too, on Will Levis not attending the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised, especially considering that there is such a question mark on whether or not he should be a first-round pick or not. I've seen him start to slide, guys, in some of these mock drafts that I've been seeing.
It's amazing.
But, I would think at least wanting to be there and be, like we were talking about, win the room, show charisma, show professionalism. Like that's something that can at least be done, even if you don't want to take the risk on the physical side of things on the field. Like we heard my father-in-law, Richard, break this down where it was like he was projected to be like a 4th, 5th round pick, something like that. He finishes strong against Auburn, then in the Sugar Bowl, then goes to the Senior Bowl, has a great week of practice, just like Jake's talking about, has a great game in the Senior Bowl, and then ends up being the 6th overall pick. Like that's the type of upside you could have. Now the game's a little bit different today because these scouts have seen every single throw you've ever made in your life, sometimes all the way back since high school, but it's still huge. And it's also big to show off the versatility, right? Like if you're a guy who's played guard every single snap in college, but the team interested in drafting you is looking for a center, it might be a good week to show them that you can also play center. So on Will Levis specifically, look, man, I'd be doing everything that I possibly could, but if you already think and you're being told you're a first round draft pick, then I understand it a little bit more.
Look, my thing is this: Bryce Young, you're not eligible to play in the Senior Bowl. You're not a senior, right? We look around at the quarterbacks that are coming out that have a chance to play. Will Levis is a guy that could have used the Senior Bowl to cement himself as maybe the second or possibly even the first quarterback taken. I've seen organizations reach super far on that. You look at CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, we know age-wise kind of what it is, right? Will Levis could have come in and stole the show. Why are you not coming in here and competing? That's my question. You're not hurt. And all I've heard at Will Levis is this arm strength, right? We see it. Oh, he can throw the ball 60 yards flat-footed. Well, that's great. Can you hit somebody on the dig that's wide open? Can you not throw the ball 800 miles per hour on a swing pass? It's those little things. I just feel like Will Levis is one of a handful of guys that end up at a position that we know is on the top of the top when it comes to moving up and moving down and being projected and things like that. Could have come in and said, you know what? My bag is deep. It's deeper than Santa Claus. I should have real estate at the North Pole. My bag's so deep. But he ducked the smoke. And that makes me have questions. If I'm going to reach and say, all right, I'm the Colts, I want to go get Will Levis. Well, why wouldn't you come and compete? I don't want somebody that's not going to come in here and compete. He's not solidified in where he is when we're speaking about Will Levis. If it's me, I think you come down here and compete. But look, good luck to you, man. I told you, I think this is Mitch Trubisky all over again.
I mean, if he already knows he's going to get drafted high, which all the mocks and projections have him getting drafted high, why even come down here and risk it?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. To me, because I'm looking at him, will he be a good player? Like, it's not even just about coming down to the Senior Bowls. Is he going to be a good player? Especially if I'm going to take him with the 5th overall pick. Well, if he's worried that coming down here is going to hurt his status, I worry about how good of a player he's going to be.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
And another thing is, if, one of the things that people who are pro Will Levis have been saying is, well, he didn't have a lot of weapons, especially this last year at Kentucky. He was a great player and he didn't have an opportunity to shine. Well, what better opportunity is there to show what you have, with all of the other weapons around the country than at the Senior Bowl where the best players in the country are coming? It could have been a great opportunity to show off just what you're capable of with a Jonathan Mingo on one side of you, or, McIntosh in the backfield, things like that, other guys from around the country. That's how I see it.
No, I'm with you 100%. It's an all-star game. You're surrounded by talent.
Yeah, let's go to Mike RFF. He wants to know who's your offensive and defensive rookie going to be next year.
Like rookie of the year?
NFL, yeah.
Man, defensive one, it's really, really hard for me not to go with Will Anderson Jr. because of what he can do from a pass rush, dropping, playing jack type standpoint. I'm always going to go with the guy that's really versatile. You look at even what Aiden Hutchinson was able to do this year with the Lions, and Will Anderson, in my opinion, is going to be a better player in the NFL than what Aiden Hutchinson is. So Will Anderson's a guy I've been super high on. I know he didn't have the year that he really wanted to have. I know they didn't win the games, the championships that they really wanted to win. But Will Anderson, you talk about a consummate professional, a guy that's going to be able to come in and really do some big-time things on the defensive side of the ball and affect games through the pass rush, through stopping the run, being able to drop. Wouldn't be shocked to see him get a couple interceptions. So I'm going to go Will Anderson Jr. when it comes down to the defensive rookie of the year. And offensive rookie of the year, Blaine, you look around the country, you know, you look at running backs. I'm not going to sit here and say an offensive lineman, you know, Cyrus Torrence is going to be rookie of the year at guard or wherever they put him. I look outside at receiver, man. I look at some of the talent that we have coming out into this draft. You look at Jordan Addison at USC. I think there's a couple guys that have a chance to win it, but I'm going to go wide receiver wins rookie of the year next year in the NFL.
Cone?
Wide receiver next year, rookie of the year?
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, that's a position. That's such a great position where you're able to come in and have success right away. When you see like Garrett Wilson, what do you have, 1,100 yards, something like that, receiving this year? You're not asked to do as much as a quarterback to come in, especially if you're a quarterback getting drafted by a franchise that just doesn't have a lot going on, say like the Texans. But a wide receiver, you go middle, late first round, something like that, can come in and make an immediate impact. A little bit easier to do from that position than I think even running back right now.
Yeah, if I did have to take a running back, though, I'm going, you know how I'm going, Bijan.
Bijan,
the best running back in the draft.
Yeah,
Bijan could do it.
Best back in the draft.
Bijan had to break 6 tackles a play to get 4 yards.
Look, Bijan, he's just on another level.
I mean, Bryce, I don't know how I don't say Bryce Young is going to be the rookie of the year next year.
Well, that's to me. Look, I can sit and say Bryce Young,
hanging fruit. That's fine, but I'm sorry.
Stroud.
The truth is the truth.
Yeah,
right?
but
Bryce Young.
With what team, Blaine? With what team?
The Houston Texans.
Yeah, I feel like they should take him number one.
He's going to be
if they trade up with the Bears.
Yeah, he's going to be the quarterback of the Houston Texans. I'm telling you, this kid, like, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Really?
I really think Bryce Young is going to end up being, and I know we consider he might be 180 pounds soaking wet. All right, he can put a little bit of weight on, but I'm telling you, just the IQ, the anticipation, like he's league ready right now.
Yeah,
he is league ready right now. Defensive player, I'm going Jalen Carter. The dude's an absolute monster. Let's go to Jesse Polk. What's up, Jesse? He says, which position tends to learn from most from the NFL coaches that isn't taught as much at the college level?
Well, I think it depends on what you're asking that position group to do. Now, if we're talking about going to a team, not the Senior Bowl, because everything's base and you know it's not too intricate when you get down here, you don't want to make it to be. I think the tight end position. I think that the tight end position in the league is so versatile now that you're asked to do a bunch of different things. Like we were just talking with Luke Musgrave from Oregon State about it. I mean, the tight end position is the position that is always evolving. I'm going to go tight end. That's what I'm going to go.
That's not a bad pick. Let's go to Texas Ed. He says, who was the last number 1 pick that played in the Senior Bowl?
The last number one
pick.
I mean, I think you've got to go back a little ways.
That's a good question.
Man, I would say that's worth a Google. I don't know. I mean, I would think at least 10 years, right?
I could sit here and tell you who the last number 1 pick was in the Senior Bowl. Has the Senior Bowl ever had a number 1 pick?
I don't. We need to go look. That's a great question. By the way, a fan sent in this trivia question. None of you guys are going to get it, but I'm going to ask it. And I want to ask Doring when he gets here. Which Florida quarterback has the longest passing touchdown ever in the history of Florida? You're never going to get it.
I'm never going to get it.
You're never going to get it.
A hint?
No.
I can't get anything.
No, you can't get a hint. Cone, any idea?
The Florida quarterback with the longest touchdown pass in history?
Yes. Chris Collinsworth before they moved him to wide receiver.
Really? Do you know who has the longest?
I think it's 99 yards.
Do you know who has the longest throw in NFL history?
Me.
I don't know if it's NFL history or just. I think it's NFL history. Yeah. Take a guess. You're never gonna get it.
Joe Montana.
Cone, what do you think?
The longest throw in history?
Yeah.
Jamarcus Russell.
Baker Mayfield.
No way.
Oh, that's right. I remember when he did that.
It's Baker Mayfield.
I would have
That's
never
right.
guessed that. All right. Hey, by the way, Cone, we have a surprise for you. Ronnie Bell from Michigan is about to join us here in a minute. So, yeah, I know you're going to be super jacked and tan about that one. We'll make sure you get a question.
Here's the last number one pick,
Go ahead.
boys.
Go ahead.
I don't know if they played in the Senior Bowl or not, but Trayvon Walker, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. I know those didn't, but then you have Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, Jared Goff. I think he went early too. Jameis Winston, Jadeveon Clowney, Eric.
Did Myles Garrett play in the Senior Bowl? I can't remember if he played in the Senior Bowl. It's been a while. Like to quote Sained, it's been a while. But it's been a while since we went back to the Booster Club. Oh, I see you over there working, Blaine. Good adjustment. Good job, bud.
All right, let's go to Cody W equals V. So is Stroud going to change the narrative of OSU QBs being below mid in the NFL?
I know Cone hopes so. I know Cone wakes up every morning praying to God or whoever that CJ Stroud will break the string of quarterbacks that underachieve. But I'm going to go ahead and say something. It's already been broken.
Yeah,
Justin Fields.
Yeah,
look at Justin. It's already been broken. And it's a fun narrative. It's fun to talk about. I really think people are still kind of sleeping on Justin Fields a little bit. Now, will they be able to operate the way that he operates, running the ball as much as he's done in the past? No, but I don't think they're gonna have to ask him to, because they're actually gonna have weapons around him. I mean, once Darnell Mooney went down, it was a wrap. Put it under the tree. Let's wait for Christmas morning. I mean, you had nothing around you.
I was surprised that Dwayne Haskins dropped all the way to 15. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. I thought he was going to be the OSU quarterback to really break that streak. Rest in peace. And I still think that he would have had success if it weren't for that tragedy. But yeah, I agree. Justin Fields is going to snap that streak, and then CJ Stroud, man, I can't tell you how much I love that guy at quarterback.
Is Justin Fields not a Georgia quarterback?
Here, no, we're not doing this. I'm not going down this road again. I'm just not going to do it.
He started a bunch of games at Georgia, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he played like 2.
No, he didn't. Nice try.
I think he played a total of 2.
Now, look, when I look at CJ Stroud too, I think he is one of the most pure passers that I've seen in a while. That Georgia game, you talk about helping your status. You talk about making your stock go up. The way he played against Georgia absolutely elevated his stock. So, no, I think Justin's going to break it. Maybe they start a new string, right? They've started a string of losing to Michigan, so you might as well just go ahead and reverse and start a string of Ohio State quarterbacks having success in the NFL. You go
I'm fine
Justin.
With that.
You go.
Let's keep these
you go
things
CJ.
going.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. All right, Blaine, we got Ronnie Bell coming here in a second. Let's stay in the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to E-Man. Emmanuel C. So what does it take for a receiver to go number 1 overall? There's only been 3 in the history of time.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have to be alien. Let's be honest. You have to be alien. Yeah, a short guy's not going number 1 early. You got to be tall. You got to be rangy. Speaking about a guy that's rangy, hell of a player, Ronnie Bell from Michigan. Ronnie, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
Nice to meet you, man. Yeah, just take a seat. It's really easy. It's the trust tree. You're here. It's all good. We have former Michigan quarterback back home. He's not able to make it because they just had a kid, but David Cone, who played there, is excited about getting you on, man. And
Love it. Go blue.
I wanted. He says go blue. You got him in your ear. Good. There it is. There's no more difficulties technically. Nice. We figured it out. Ronnie, here's where I want to start. You're down here at the Senior Bowl now. You're getting ready for the next chapter of your career. But I do want to go back a little bit at Michigan. And you guys left the place better than what you found it. Just what does that mean to you when you made that commitment to go to Michigan to play there, and now leaving it better than where you found it?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that me and all the guys take a sense of pride in, especially my class. I remember when we first came in, we weren't, it wasn't like the number 1 recruiting class in the world or anything like that. So for us to, turn the whole narrative on Michigan, like you said, and like have Michigan in the light of like national championship contenders, I think that's just something that we all definitely take a sense of pride in.
And beating Ohio State twice, that had to feel good.
Yes, it did, without a doubt.
Yes.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah, I'm sure Cone's pretty excited about that. Man, just to come down here and be a receiver as talented as you are, one thing I love watching, your deep threat was always there, but your intermediate routes got a lot better, and I enjoyed watching that a lot. What's one thing you really want to show off to the scouts, the GMs this week when it comes to playing the receiver position?
Definitely just versatility and production all over the field, whether that's, like we said, a receiver play or in the return game. Or anywhere on special teams, as a matter of fact, like just being productive and versatile.
Yeah, let me ask you this. One-on-ones, my favorite things to do, play and watch was one-on-ones, going against the DBs. First of all, y'all are holding Stop.
No,
They'll do
no,
his whole people. You
No.
know it's true.
no.
It should throw a flag a lot more. What's your
Yeah,
one?
you're right. That's
what's
what the offense needs more flags.
What's your
That's exactly
one-on?
right.
What's your one-on-one go-to route?
I mean, I feel like anything in breaking, I'm gonna win. So,
Like, yeah,
you name
it's
it.
always a win.
So we're gonna play leverage. I'm gonna have to play inside leverage on you by about 4 yards.
I
We
love
have to
that.
make it go outside. Ronnie, I do while we got you here. You know, we talk about elevating your game and going to the next level. And look, we know how high of a level Michigan is. It's basically professional, but this is truly professional football. How excited would you be? Not saying obviously you took academics serious and all that stuff, but being able to wake up and you don't have to worry about going to class. You don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. Your job is football.
Right.
Your job is going and watching football, breaking down football, understanding it on an even higher level, getting your PhD in it. But that's a hell of a job, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely kind of gotten a taste of it throughout the training process.
Yep.
Now, you know,
Yep.
now that I've stepped away from school and got into just training every day. And yeah, like that's something like my mom and dad kind of asked me about. And, like, I'm loving it. You know what I mean? Not having like the weight of, you know, getting back on your laptop, checking emails and trying to catch up on anything.
Got to get to class.
You know what I mean? Yeah, going to class
Yeah.
in the morning, in between workouts or whatever. So definitely, yeah, like you said, just the main focus being football and being able to grow in football is just something I'm really excited about.
David, what do you got?
Man, first of all, Ronnie, you know, I'm a big fan, man, and congratulations for overcoming the adversity of last season. You know, you go down with the knee injury, you bounce back, you lead Michigan to a 13-win season, most in program history, man. It really is incredible what you guys were able to accomplish this year. You know, what would you say is the number one thing from your time at Michigan that has helped you prepare to be a professional athlete now?
Yes, sir. I think really just how professional, like we spoke about how close it is to the professional game. You know, being under Coach Harbaugh and him like bringing everything, you know, with him and keeping for the most part the same like philosophies in the building. And so I feel like I've kind of always had a taste of what the next level would be. You know, being under him for the last 5 years now. So definitely Coach Harbaugh and everything that he's done to prepare all of the players for the next level. So.
It seems like Coach Harbaugh would be fun to play for.
Yes,
because you never know what to expect.
Oh yeah, he's
Either you're coming there yelling or coming there with a squirt
What's
gun.
with the khakis and cleats?
He's
man?
in a world of his own for sure. I would say my favorite part about him is it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter like if we have a team workout or if we don't have anything in the building.
Yeah.
You can come in the building. It's 6 p.m. on just a normal Tuesday, and he's hitting it in the collared tee and khakis, like full sweat, full workout going. And then afterward, he'll just throw some ice on his shoulder and go back up to his office.
I love
I
that.
think that's the best part about it, man.
What makes everything so comfortable?
Yeah,
you know?
for sure,
That's
for
what
sure.
the best
Never
thing about
an
it.
Hey,
awkward
Ronnie.
moment.
Ronnie, what's your favorite restaurant in Ann Arbor? I need to know.
My favorite restaurant in Ann Arbor, I think it turned into Frida Petita's was my favorite spot.
Ooh, sounds good.
Ooh.
That's a new spot.
Right there in the middle.
Yeah.
That's a new. Like,
Cone, you're
Cone,
too
you had
old for
been-
that,
yeah,
brother.
You had,
No, I'm too old for that one, man.
yeah.
I know
Cone
Mr.
used- Cone
Spot
used to-
Pizza House.
I'm about to say Mr. Spot's always
Mr.
holds
Zod,
it
I
down.
was
There you
gonna say,
go.
Cone,
That's
Cone
always
used to
been
go to speakeasies with Bo Schembechler. So I don't know a lot of the restaurants.
That was one time, and I told you that in confidence.
All right. Last question, Ronnie. Ronnie Bell from Michigan. What's your why, man? Why do you do this?
My siblings. I got two
Yeah.
little brothers and a little sister, and man, I've always wanted to be like a superhero to them and
Yeah.
show them the right way, show them the best way, and they keep me going. I think that's more of a thing than they even know, but they definitely keep
Yeah.
me going.
Well, Ronnie, you're
That's
doing
awesome,
a hell of a
man.
job, man. They've got a lot to look up to, and you've been a great role model.
100.
Thanks so much for coming
Thank you
on,
very
brother. Good
much.
luck to you. We're excited to see you at the next
Later.
level, man. Go do your thing out there. All right. Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie Bell from Michigan. We're one of the few people to catch him this year. We're going to go out there and watch him not get caught on the field later. We're going to get to bets in a second. I want to get back to the Booster Club real quick, Glenn.
Let's go to Nate State with a $5 donation. Appreciate it. He says, shout out to Cone for remaining calm and calling in audible with the game on the line. Hashtag call.
Can.
He canned it.
Can.
I
Rodney was talking about
thought I
superhero-
got kicked out of the
superheroes.
show. I thought I
No,
got
it
kicked
was
out of the
just-
show. It was y'all that got kicked out.
Yeah, it was us.
Yeah,
it was us. The Power
was State of
Blue.
Michigan behind this?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I feel like it was his arch nemesis,
Yeah,
His
it probably was, man.
Ben,
Jake
Ben
Blaine.
Ohio.
Jane
Jane?
Blake.
Someone made a graphic on Twitter. I don't know if y'all saw the picture of like you or who are you, the Joker? And I was
Yes.
already Two-Face.
Yes,
and it was David
that was really good.
with the mask on, which was funny. Let's go to Noah Schultz. He says, how would you rank the following in terms of importance for the Senior Bowl: interviews, weigh-ins, practice.
Practice, interviews, weigh-ins. You can lose weight, you can gain weight. It's hard for me to make you a better person, and it's a whole hell of a lot harder for me to make you better at football at this level when everybody's so close. So the weight can go up and down. The talent we know can fluctuate, but a lot of guys are not set in stone. But there's somewhat proven commodities as far as the high-level college game, knowing what you're getting at the next level. So I'm going to go practice, I'm going to go interviews, and then I'm going to go weight.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod. He wants us to know that Eric Fisher was the last number 1 pick.
The offensive tackle?
Eric Fisher.
Yeah. The second, he was almost as good as Bobby Fisher.
Let's go to Seth McDonald. He wants to know, are there many players at the Senior Bowl that skipped their bowl game? If so, then why?
Well, again, I think it's a lot different if you're playing in the, ChristianMingle.com Bowl against UTEP as opposed to coming over here in the Senior Bowl and playing against guys that are going to be first-round picks and second-round picks. I will never get mad at a player opting out of a game that it makes sense, and he's trying to, obviously, not buy insurance on his future, but by me playing in that bowl game does not help. It does not help me. It may help the team when the like I said, the singlesonly.org bowl or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if I'm coming from a place of a bad socioeconomic background and everybody's relying on me and I'm the one that's going to have to do it, I sure as hell don't want to blow it for everybody because I played in a meaningless bowl game. We're not talking about the college football semifinal. We're not talking about the college football playoff, but playing in the Senior Bowl as opposed to the Hulu +++ Bowl are two totally different things because there's obviously a lot more scouts at this game and at these practices down here doing these interviews than you would at the bowl game. So it is kind of apples and oranges, which is the name of another bowl.
All right, let's go to Gopher Golfer. He wants to know, should the Cardinals draft a player and who at number 3 or trade that pick and get more draft capital?
Well, if you're the Cardinals, look,
you need a lot.
You need way more than fix a flat. Let's be honest.
Flex seal?
Yeah, you need some Flex Seal.
Flex Seal?
Yeah, put it on a boat and hope to God.
But if you were going to draft somebody at 3 and you're the Cardinals, who you take?
I mean, it's got to be a skill position player that's a big time guy. I'm not taking quarterback, obviously, with Kyler Murray. I mean, to me, you're either out wide or you're taking it. You don't want to take a back that early, right? You don't want to take Bijan that early. Is he that talented? No. I mean, is he that talented?
No.
I think you look outside. You've got to get playmakers around Kyler Murray with D-Hop on the move. I mean, who do you have?
Well, who's going to be there? That's my question, right? Who's going to be there? Because you're thinking if Will Anderson or Jalen Carter is there, that's who you take.
You have to take him.
You
have to take him. You're hoping the Bears trade that pick. You're hoping the Bears trade that pick for somebody going to get a quarterback, so you feel good in that third spot that you're going to fall into either a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter, because if somebody trades with the Bears for that pick, they're going to get a quarterback. They're not going up to get anybody else. They're going to get a quarterback. So to me, if you're the Cardinals, it's Jalen Carter, Will Anderson Jr. Or bust, and then after that, just get somebody from Alabama and Georgia on defense or out wide.
Okay, I love that. Let's go to Cody W = Z. Blaine, who's your favorite player at the Senior Bowl? Favorite player? I don't really know if I have a favorite player at the Senior. If anybody, I kind of like to comp myself to players. I mean, it'd be Charlie Jones. It'd be Charlie Jones.
Look, somebody's got to take over the chocolate factory.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like to see the guy who kind of looks like you go out there and ball. It's just, I don't know, it kind of just hit.
You just explained politics in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know. I would say either him or our Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan's going to be a day one starter in the NFL.
I think he will.
I think he's a better player than Travis Etienne.
Really? I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't think that's crazy to say at all.
I don't either.
All right, let's get one more of the Booster Club. And let's get to some picks.
Let's go to Matty Ice 1994. Do you think it's benefited Justin Herbert to go to the Senior Bowl, or was he going to get drafted where he did no matter what?
I mean, I think you talk about doing a great job of projection and evaluating. That's been one of the poster children of how to do it. I think it helped him a little bit. You get to know everybody better. They get to know you. We knew Justin Herbert had a howitzer attached to his shoulder. We knew he could run. He's a long strider. We knew he's able to throw the changeup somewhat. That was the big question on him, being able to not just throw the fastball. We know you can throw the fastball, but being able to throw the changeup, that's obviously a huge deal. So I think it helped him a little bit. I don't think it hurt him, but. Speaking about help and hurt, last day of the month, it's coming down to it. All right, there's a lot of different scenarios between you David Cone, and Baby Cone. Here's what I got tonight. All right. I'm just trying to stay in the green for the month. I was down 13 units 2 weeks ago. People are saying that if I end up in the green this month, it could possibly be the greatest underdog story and comeback of all time.
I heard
that's
it
not
wasn't.
me saying it. That's not me saying it. That's what people around are saying. I'm just echoing what they're saying. So here's what we got tonight. All right. I'm down 2.5 units right now. Fighting. We're coming back. Let's go. Rocky 3. Give me Bama money line, Kentucky money line, TCU money line, Duke money line, Illinois and Kansas money line. All right. I'm playing the favorites. All right. Sometimes you got to walk in the casino and you got to play baccarat and you got to take the banker. All right. So that's going for plus 329. Everybody handle business. And then in hockey, just absolutely on fire. Legitimately on fire. I feel like Icarus in the middle of a kitchen that's burning down. I'm so on fire in hockey. Give me the Canes money line, and then Ottawa, Montreal under 6.5. That's at plus 172. Can we go 2-0 and finish in the green in the month? If we do, I may go down and just put a 100 on red in a casino.
You go ahead, Blaine.
No, you go ahead, Dave. Don't worry about it.
Blaine,
No,
go ahead.
Blaine needs to go.
Go ahead.
Blaine, go
here's
ahead
the deal.
first.
Blaine wants to copy Cone's bets.
I know he does.
Blaine wants
So
to
I've been
copy
guarding him
Cone's
close.
bets so that he can't possibly
Okay.
lose. So here's what we're gonna do. Cone, you're not saying your bets on here. You're not saying your bets today. You need to text them to me and Cercio. We'll screenshot it and after the bets are sent in there.
Collusion's going on.
No, you're
Blatant
collusion.
Yes.
collusion's
You're
going on.
collusion.
Smart, Jake.
This is what I
smart.
deal with. From fantasy
Oh my
to this
God.
stuff. Jake and David just like to team up and collude.
Wait, so you were going to copy?
The
You were
others like
really
to
going to
team
copy
up
my
and
bets?
collude.
Exactly.
No,
Why wouldn't I copy
Blaine's
your bets?
really going to copy your bets.
Why wouldn't I, David? Tell
You
me why
were
I
really
wouldn't.
going to do that.
Tell me why I wouldn't,
How
Dave.
lame is that?
Tell me
you
why I wouldn't.
So you think it's cheating for me to hide them from you so you can't copy them?
For you not to announce it to the Booster Club who your bets are? Yes, I do.
Well, to be honest,
Because
actually, I'm
this
not even
entire
gonna say
thing's
that.
about
I was
what?
gonna-
This entire thing's
what
about
we'll do.
what? The Booster Club trailing bets, right?
Here's what we'll do. Wait, here's what we'll do.
Well, you say yours
We
first,
will-
and then I'll tell them.
Yeah, say yours first.
Okay, yeah, I'll say these. Give me the Canes money line. Then give me Alabama money line and the Bucks minus 3.5. That's going off at minus 189.
Okay. All right,
Canes,
there we
you're
go.
talking hockey.
Yes.
You're not talking college basketball. Okay.
Nope.
Well, then I'm going to take double college basketball parlays. I need them both, boys. I don't control my own destiny. So let's go Alabama minus 14.5. All right. Hosting Vandy at home. And
Revenge game.
I really need that Oklahoma game to be burned in their memory and say, hey, we're going to go out and beat you by 25 in Coleman Coliseum. Alabama minus 14.5. Let's pair it with Duke money line. That's plus 132. And then on the flip side, TCU plus Miami, both to win at plus 142. Mark it down.
All right.
Well,
here
you
we
know
go.
the great thing about it, being one step ahead, I have 4 bets today.
Oh my God, he just Jason Bourne'd you. No
Okay.
way. No way. Are you going to copy his last 2 bets on your?
I don't know. By the way y'all were acting, I'm
well,
thinking about it.
you
now.
know, oh
Yeah. What?
why would you do that though? The competitor in you. What is the Booster Club
The
saying?
competitor
What is
in
the
me-
Booster Club saying?
the-
Why
the competitor-
does he have 2 extra picks today?
Because he had to make 2 that he didn't make up for earlier. Let's see what the Booster Club says here. Said
Wait, why
Blake
do you
needs
get
to
double
suit
the
up
picks today?
'Cause I
because
have
he had
2
to make up for it.
Yeah, I have to make up
Yeah,
2.
two.
I
He had to
didn't
make
count.
up for it. Let's see. Wouldn't it be a mid comeback story since you didn't win the month? Jessup, no, we're not talking about me. Zach Wilson said, just have another technical difficulty, then you can just tell us, go.
Well, I
Lifestyle
did in the
says,
first technical difficulty.
I think Jake, Blaine, and Cone should have a weekly individual segment like Morning Wire. 10 minutes of what they want to talk about in sports. Coffee with Cone, fire with the dragon, and jokes with Jake.
Man, I
That's
forgot
pretty good.
I forgot I have to take 6 extra picks today. Because I
Oh,
missed so
yeah,
many.
that's right.
Yeah, I have
Maybe
to
this
take-
ain't
about
well, I have
man.
to take
I'm just-
10
I'm just
extra
sticking
picks
to the
today,
rules,
actually.
dude.
Look,
I'm just sticking to
10
the
extra
rules,
picks
bud.
today.
stay tuned.
And where's the tumbler?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'd
Stay
like to
tuned to
know.
find out.
This guy mailed it. You talking about high level play? This guy stole the tumbler, wrapped it up, and mailed it to himself. I mean, goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
you're right.
It's
You
a
know-
real. It's
I
a
hope it
real-
hurts you that a fan sent me that with a letter that said the real winner #Flaming Dragon.
Yeah, that fan's name was just Blaine
Yeah.
spelled backwards. It was Naub.
Yeah,
It was Naub Narc.
Yeah.
sounds a
They
lot
sent
like
that one
Jane.
in.
Sounds a lot like Jane Blake to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coney, great stuff today, my friend. We'll see you again in the morning. Take care of that beautiful new baby.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys out there. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on all social media. Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter book, and Tic-Tac-Toe, Faceback. Great
it's gonna
app,
work.
Faceback. You need to download that right now. You can tell somebody's face what they look like by looking at the back of their head. So it's great stuff. We appreciate y'all. Booster Club, like I said, make sure you subscribe. We got some great interviews we're coming with after this, so make sure you check out the channel for even more content. And like the chances of it not being hot and sticky in the morning in Mobile, we're going. Gone.